PSA graded returns. Box number 3 has that weird tapey thing on it. Let's get into it. But first, roll that intro. Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we do another PSA graded return. I'm not going to spend much more time than saying, hey, I had a whole bunch of PSA cards come back. Go check out a whole bunch of videos that I'll leave the links to down below. Hopefully that'll get you caught up. Don't forget that this is number 3 of a probably 15-part series, so make sure to check out the PSA graded return playlist on the channel if you want more of this type of stuff. I have tons of videos from older returns, and in addition to that, don't forget to like the video if you like today's content, and subscribe to make sure you stay up to date on the other videos as they come out. But other than that, without further ado, let's get into it. So if I'm not mistaken, in the last episode of how many legendary collection cards can Ryan possibly buy off the internet, we learned that I can in fact buy quite a few, and I believe this PSA graded return will reinforce that idea by showing you again a lot more legendary collections cards. However, all that said, do bear in mind that this particular submission has everything from base set all the way to Aquapolis and Expedition, all the way through the EX series, and ends up with some relatively modern stuff. So bear all of that in mind, because these cards are cool, but okay, not something I was expecting. But yeah, these cards are cool, and more importantly, the submission is very diverse. So I think there is genuinely something here for everyone should you choose to watch. And this is exactly what I mean. Here's an Ampharos from EX Dragon in 2003. I know for a fact this card should not be in this order, but I know what I did was I ended up pulling out random cards and sort of sampling, because I submit my cards in a very organized manner so that my graded return videos can also be in a organized manner. PSA has unfortunately decided otherwise. So here is a very good, excellent PSA 4 Ampharos. I mean, major crease right there. You can see it right above my thumb. So that's really what got this card the grade that it did. The good news is that I sincerely don't care too much, other than it's like another, quote-unquote bulk card for my EX collection. I do think it's really nice to look at a distance. You don't have to zoom all the way in to see that. So that's what I really like and appreciate about this card. All that said, I am kind of annoyed that it's out of order. Oh good, here's another one. Alright, so this looks like it's going to be an EX collection kind of thing. So here is a Zangoose from Sandstorm. Obviously reverse foils have changed much over the years, I should say rather. Back in 2003 it had this really kind of gross, I guess like Technicolor holographic to it. Not a fan of this particular one, if I can say that. It wouldn't be until, EX Fire Red and Leaf Green where things began to change in a really meaningful way. That's when you began seeing some really creative EX era style holographic patterns and the reverse stamp. So that's when you really got to see a lot of that. Here is one of my favorite EX cards, and a lot of people don't know why that is, because it's a relatively obscure card. It's the Wailord EX from Sandstorm. Fun fact, at the time this was released, it was the Pokemon with the highest HP of 200 HP. Obviously, we've had tons of cards that have broken that limit since, but this is a cool card because I like that little bit of, TCG history to it. And obviously a really neat card because it's, EX obviously has tons of amazing cards, but I really do like some of those really interesting sort of patterns that they give you. Here's another one, a Pichu from Sandstorm, and as you can see, the good news is PSA didn't disrespect me entirely. Looks like what they did was they at least tried to keep things in a relatively good order. So here is the Sandstorm Pichu. I really like the artwork more than anything. The good news is that with the reverse foils, at least they give you the chance to get a good look at the artwork on the card itself. Here is a Lunatone, and the reason I like this card is that nice little swirl right over here. Sandstorm had some really cool cards. I will say that although it's not the most popular EX era set, I think of it in a weird way like a spiritual successor to Fossil, where, you know, they obviously played a lot on the desert theme. They also played quite a bit on the you know, the particular Pokemon, like the fossil type Pokemon. Now, ironically enough, this is from EX Dragon, and I can tell you why. It's because although Trapinch is a ground type, it will eventually evolve into a dragon ground type Flygon. So that's why this card got chucked in there. But Dragon and Sandstorm both are from the earlier part of the EX era. So, you know, a tiny bit of a logical grouping there. Of course, no Pokemon set is complete without a turtle, and this generation's turtle is Torkoal, a fire-type Pokemon. So here's a really crispy holo. Holographics are tough to grade, I will say that much, and EX-era holos obviously get overshadowed primarily by their Gold Star and EX Ultra Rare counterparts, but I do like looking at some holographics from back in the day. Here is a card that is another one of my favorite cards from this particular submission. It is the Grovyle reverse foil from Ruby and Sapphire, which makes me think we might be approaching another set of my favorite cards from the submission. I don't know why, this card triggers a lot of nostalgia for me. So like when I see this, I see like Ivysaur from base set, where it's like, this is kind of when I got into Pokemon, at least seriously enough that I could remember it, treasure it, and also appreciate it as a childhood hobby and experience. And so seeing a card like this really kind of throws me back. I also think, you know, Grovyle is just a cool Pokemon, just kind of flying around the trees, chopping people's heads off, or something less violent. Here is a Mightyena reverse foil. So this is from Ruby and Sapphire. Again, Ruby and Sapphire, you effectively have to think of base set for the EX era, because it was the first set released and it kind of kicked off that new era after Skyridge, and more importantly, after Nintendo took the printing rights over from Wizards of the Coast. Bear in mind, Nintendo would only print the entire EX era. After that, the Pokemon Company would get involved from Generation 4 and onward, and that's actually where we find ourselves today. Here is the Mightyena, again, another classic Pokemon. Mightyena is tantamount to, like, I mean, not a Pidgey, but certainly a Pokemon from that time, you know, right around those starter sets. Now, here's where things get confusing, because I remember putting these cards in order. So, yeah, there's that. Anyways, here's Aquapolis now, so we're jumping again, and this is a super cool card. I want to point out how really menacing Tyrantiar looks, and in case anyone's curious, Tyrantiar is one of my favorite Pokemon. I played Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness on GameCube, and I specifically remember that amazing experience of catching, I believe it was a Dark Larvitar that could evolve into a Tyrantiar. I believe, don't quote me on that, but hey, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because it helps me in the algorithm. Now, what's really neat about this particular card is that it's one of the OG Aquapolis holos. A couple of things to note: the holos were in their own subset back then, so you got them as, you know, the full set, then you got like H1 out of, in this case, H32. So what's interesting is that they had their own sort of numbering schema, which is pretty neat. Again, just a really cool card. I feel like before the EX era, holos were definitely all the rage, so something to bear in mind. Here we have a Togetic H27, so we're just kind of rolling backwards for any of the cards that I could fill in there. Really pretty card. The one thing is that I can imagine this card goes for a lot of money otherwise, but as a PSA 6, I can't really see that. The reason it got a 6 is because if you look at the foil right there, it looks like a cheese grater ran against it, and so that really doesn't surprise me either. You know, again, there's only so much you can do to protect these cards, and when you're buying in bulk or in larger collections, it can certainly be difficult to sort of get 100% all the time great cards. Here is a Lantern holographic. This is H15 out of Aquapolis. One thing to note, there's a nice little swirl right over here by the holographic, and yeah, really pretty card. Lantern's an interesting Pokemon because it's water or electric type, so you really kind of have to split the difference on how you go about representing it. Here is a reverse foil Aquapolis Growlithe. Yeah, you can see Pokemon did, or Nintendo rather, did bring some things forward with them. So one thing, for example, is the reverse foil, because at the beginning of this video we saw practically the same exact reverse foil in both EX Dragon as well as EX Ruby and Sapphire. So they did bring that forward. They even brought the E-Series forward up until they dropped it in a later EX set. Rolling forward, we have a Steelix. This is a near mint 8. I do remember having this card in my previous PSA submission as a holographic card as well. Again, one of the greatest things about this generation of Pokemon and backwards, meaning from base set up till the E-Series, is that holographics were as good as you got, which is nice because nowadays you have alternate arts, full art trainers, etc., etc. So it can be crazy. Here is a Lantern reverse foil from Aquapolis. Now, here is something no one will possibly be able to call out, but I started my Pokemon collection in many ways as a error Pokemon collector. So I liked looking for and finding Pokemon cards that had errors on them. And this is actually a error Pokemon card. So I'm going to pause right there and let you try to take a guess in the comments as to what the error is. And you can go ahead and pause the video, but I'm going to go ahead and run through it. It says Pokebody, which is effectively just an ability, but there's no ability or Pokebody description, and there usually is. Instead, they erroneously left the Pokebody thing there or forgot the text. So whichever the case may be, that's what ended up happening, and now there's just a Pokebody ability there with no actual description of said Pokebody. So, little fun fact, I don't know if that card was treated as having a Pokebody for the TCG though. Here's a Blissey, an excellent 5, you know, really rough. You know, a couple of these cards did get kind of bruised up. But with so many cards, again, it can be very difficult to sort of manage the expectations. Again, with all this holographic, it can also be very difficult to expect anything greater than like a 5 or a 6, just purely based on how rough these cards get treated, and even before they came into my possession, how good or bad they were kept. Here's an Ampharos, again, just another Aquapolis. This is number 1 though, so that's pretty neat. So this is the first card, and as I was mentioning before, you can see the Aquapolis set is 147 cards, plus those holographic cards as well. So it was kind of split up into 2 separate items. Finally, but not least, and I think this is why this particular set of cards popped up where it did, here is a Legendary Collection Flareon as a PSA 6. I think I probably saw this card and assumed the entire stack was EX, or rather was Legendary Collection cards, but the thing is that all my Legendary Collection cards were supposed to be together. So, and I know for a fact that Aquapolis comes after Legendary Collection, so kind of weird that we had this one card topping it off when I know for a fact that Expedition should go in between Legendary Collections and Aquapolis. I have a feeling that the reason that happened is because I got upcharged on this particular submission, so they probably had to go through many of my cards in order to kind of determine which ones were getting upcharged, and during that time they probably didn't take the care necessary to place them back in the order they were submitted. So yeah, probably just one of those things, but you try your best and hope for the best, I guess. But hey, other than that, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, feel free to leave a like as well as subscribe to the Gengar Gang in order to join our happy little community. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed today's PSA Greater Return. Thanks as always for your viewership. Let me know down below what your favorite card was, and other than that, we will talk soon. Peace.